Out front now, president of the Economic Future Group, Jonathan Tassini, and senior policy analyst at the Heritage Foundation, Salim Farr. So, Jonathan, let me start with you. You saw Dan Simon's report. Would people, just on this bottom line issue, $650 now, $1,350 or more possibly later, could people really pay that much? Would they be willing to pay that much for Made in America?
Well, let's separate could they and would they be willing. In a certain way, the iPhone is not a good example of manufacturing America and what people would pay because it's such a luxury and almost a mythical item. And I've got one here. And as you know, people line up for days sometimes for the newest iPhone. So I suspect perhaps in the beginning there might be some sticker shock, but people eventually would buy the product. The more important thing to me is what are the wages that people are going to be paid to actually manufacture in the United States those items.
But you think that because it is a prestige and luxury item, people would pay? It might take time, but they could pay that. They could do a whole ad campaign, Made in America, there's your iPhone.
I think that the Made in America campaign you're paying here, and I will say that I did focus groups some years ago about people shopping at Walmart, not the same kind of level of prices, but people said that if they knew that people are getting higher health care and better wages, that they would be willing to pay more at Walmart. I think the same, although at a higher price, would be true about the iPhone.
All right, Salim, what do you say? $1,350 or possibly more for an iPhone?
I think if Apple thought that they could make more money selling iPhones for $1,300, they'd be doing it right now. I trust Apple to understand its way to making a profit. And you know, the rumor or potential talks that Foxconn is going to move some of its operations to the U.S., that's great, but if they're doing that, that's not a publicity stunt. They're doing that because they see a way to make money using American expertise, American workers who are terrific, and American capital investment. And we need to make a business environment that attracts that kind of investment that makes sense from a bottom line perspective.
Well, let's understand this. Workers in China and workers in the United States are equally skilled. The difference here is wages. In China and in other countries, we're looking at the reason that Apple's over there, other countries are over there, it's because they're paying slave wages. The difference is not about skill. I think that's almost a racist, nationalist thing to say that we have better workers here. It's about wages. This is about profit.
So let me just interject here. And first of all, I want all of you to tweet us. Let us know, would you pay $1,350 for an iPhone? But this issue, Tim Cook says you're wrong. He says, no, this is all about skills. They have the skills in China, not here. He was on 60 Minutes last year, and he answered the question.
Rubbish.
Here's how he put it, Jonathan.
China put an enormous focus on manufacturing in what we would call, you and I would call, vocational kind of skills. I mean, you could take every tool and die maker in the United States and probably put them in the room they were currently sitting in. In China, you would have to have multiple football fields.
You say rubbish.
It's rubbish. I mean, there are plenty of good, skilled workers here, plenty of good, skilled workers in China. The issue is wages. The reason Apple's in China is because they're profiting, because they're essentially using slave labor. And there are plenty of good people here, both who lost jobs before, who worked assembly line jobs in industrial America, plenty of people who could be trained for this. This is not such highly skilled work, particularly assembly of these iPhones.
So, Salim, what do you say? I mean, is Tim Cook right? He's saying it's skills, but Jonathan has a point, right? I mean, you just saw the numbers in the piece. $400 a month is what you pay a worker in China to put an iPhone together. It would be $1,000 in the United States. It would seem this is about numbers, not about skills.
Right. So manufacturing in the U.S. has some other advantages that tend to offset those wage costs. For instance, you have less shipping costs. You're not dealing with multiple regulatory regimes. So, yeah, American workers are going to make more. They're closer to the market. They have better outside options. Chinese workers, they may be making very low wages, but when the alternative is to go back to a rural village with no jobs, they're willing to take those jobs. I know there's allegations of slave labor, but the evidence is that a great many rural Chinese have moved to the cities very willingly to take these industrial level jobs that are similar to what our grandparents worked in the United States.
Well, as Jesse Jackson used to say, even slaves had jobs. And those folks who are moving for rural China, yes, they were in deep poverty. They have no choice, and some of them are living in just awful conditions.
All right. Well, thank you both very much. I appreciate your time tonight.